do dragons really exist? This question has sparked the imagination of humanity for centuries. These magnificent creatures, breathing fire and soaring through our myths, seem too magical to be real. Yet they appear in stories and legends across the world. In every corner of the globe, from the serpentine dragons of Eastern lore to the winged giants of Western tales, dragons have a universal allure. But why are dragons, creatures of myth, so deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness? Are dragons more than just figments of our imagination? This question has captivated us for ages. Throughout history, every culture has its own version of these majestic creatures. But where does the line between myth and reality blur? From the fire-breathing monsters of medieval Europe to the benevolent serpents of Asian folklore, dragons have taken many forms. Each portrayal, though unique, shares a common thread of awe and wonder. Could real animals have inspired these mythical beasts? Or are they purely a product of human creativity, born from our innate fear of the unknown and the unexplainable? Dragons have been a part of human storytelling for millennia, manifesting in myriad forms across cultures. From the imperial dragons of China to the mythical Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica, these creatures are woven into the fabric of countless civilizations. In China, with over 5,000 years of dragon lore, these creatures symbolize imperial power and good fortune. The dragons here, often depicted wingless, are revered as rain-bringers and harbingers of prosperity. This influence extends to neighboring Asian nations, where dragons adopt similar but distinct characteristics, reflecting cultural exchange and adaptation over centuries. In medieval Europe, dragons took on a more menacing role, often depicted as fierce beasts to be conquered by heroes. These narratives echo through folklore, shaping the Western perception of dragons as formidable adversaries. Across the Atlantic, the ancient Americas had their own dragon tales. The plumed serpent god Quetzalcoatl of the Maya and Aztecs, for instance, stands as a testament to the dragon's universal appeal. From India's ancient dragon traditions to the dragon emblazoned on Bhutan's flag, and even stretching to the Arctic legends of the Inuit, the dragon's reach is truly global. The variety in dragon depictions is astonishing. Some dragons breathe fire and speak, while others remain silent and wingless. They range from the size of a small animal to spanning miles, living in oceans or hidden in mountain caves. Dragons are chameleons of myth, adapting their features to the cultural and literary landscapes they inhabit. Whether as protectors, symbols of power, or fearsome monsters, dragons continue to captivate our imagination, transcending time and geography. The universal appeal of dragons begs the question: how did these myths emerge independently across diverse cultures? It seems that no matter where humans roamed, the dragon followed, morphing into forms that resonated with each unique society. Mythologist Joseph Campbell, influenced by Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, suggested that the dragon might be a fundamental image ingrained in the human psyche. This theory implies that dragons symbolize something primal and universal to human experience. But why dragons? Anthropologist David E. Jones offers a fascinating hypothesis in his book, An Instinct for Dragons. He proposed that natural selection might have hardwired an awareness of dragon-like forms into our ancestors. This theory stems from observations of primates, like vervet monkeys, instinctively reacting to predators. According to Jones, dragons are a composite of the most formidable predators: the wings of large birds of prey, the jaws and claws of big cats, and the sinuous bodies of snakes. These creatures could represent the ultimate predator, a combination of all the threats our ancestors had to survive. This theory, while intriguing, isn't universally accepted, but offers a compelling explanation for the dragon's ubiquitous presence in human culture. It suggests that dragons are more than just myths. They are manifestations of our deepest fears and greatest challenges. However, some scholars argue that the similarity in dragon myths could be due to cultural diffusion. As people migrated and interacted, they shared stories and myths, leading to the spread of dragon legends across different civilizations. Dragons and dinosaurs, two titans of our imagination, separated by millions of years, yet remarkably similar. But why do our mythical dragons so often resemble these prehistoric giants? The physical parallels are undeniable. Many dragons in mythology share characteristics with dinosaurs: large reptilian bodies, long tails, and in some cases, wings. But could there be more to this resemblance than mere coincidence? Consider the moment when ancient peoples stumbled upon dinosaur bones, long before the concept of paleontology, unearthing the gigantic bones of a creature you've never seen. To them, these colossal remains could have been the very proof of dragons' existence. Paleontologists often ponder this connection. They suggest that the discovery of these gigantic bones likely influenced dragon myths, providing a tangible basis for these formidable creatures in folklore. This theory suggests that discoveries of dinosaur fossils may have influenced dragon myths. Ancient peoples, upon finding these enormous skeletons, might have woven tales of dragons to explain these mysterious remains. Another angle comes from evolutionary psychology. Some researchers believe that dragons are a symbolic amalgamation of the predators our ancestors feared. These primal fears may have been projected onto dragons, creating mythical beings that resemble the ultimate predator, akin to the formidable dinosaurs. One of the most captivating aspects of dragon lore is their ability to breathe fire. This fearsome trait is a common thread in many dragon myths, but where did this idea originate? The origins of this fire-breathing element can be traced back to ancient myths and artworks. In these depictions, dragons were often seen as guardians of treasures, and their fire-breathing ability served as a powerful deterrent to would-be thieves. But beyond that, it carried deeper meanings. In the realm of symbolism, fire represents purification, destruction, and renewal. Dragons breathing fire can be seen as a metaphor for nature's uncontrollable and destructive power, yet also its ability to rejuvenate and bring about new life. Art historians and mythologists suggest that the depiction of dragons spewing fire could also symbolize the internal battle between good and evil, the dragon's breath serving as a manifestation of the chaos and destruction that comes from giving in to darker impulses. In art and folklore, these dragons often embody the balance between these two forces. In contemporary interpretations, dragons breathing fire continue to fascinate us, often embodying the struggle between good and evil, chaos and order. This trait not only adds to the dragon's fearsome reputation, but also symbolizes their mythical power over the natural elements. The very idea of dragons breathing fire has enthralled us through the ages. If these mythical beasts roam the earth, how might they possess such a fantastical ability? Biologically speaking, the ability to breathe fire would require a complex mechanism. Surprisingly, nature and science together suggest it's not as far-fetched as you might think. In the heart of every fantasy world lies a fire-breathing dragon. But let's entertain the possibility. If dragons were real, how could they achieve this fiery spectacle? The answer lies in understanding the basic elements of fire: ignition, fuel, and oxygen. Oxygen, the breath of life, makes up about 21% of Earth's atmosphere, readily available for any creature needing it for combustion. But what about the other two elements needed for fire breathing, the spark and the fuel? Imagine a dragon with an organ akin to a bird's gizzard, containing stones like flint. In birds, these stones aid in digestion. But in our hypothetical dragon, they could serve a more fiery purpose. These flint-like scales, clicking together, could create the necessary spark to ignite a flame. Frank van Breukelen, a biologist from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, suggests that these swallowed flint rocks might rub against a metallic substance within the dragon, creating sparks. And if these sparks were close to a highly sensitive fuel, they might just be enough to ignite a dragon's fiery breath. But where does the fuel come from? Here's where it gets even more interesting. Some chemicals, known as pyrophoric substances, burst into flames spontaneously in contact with air. Rachel Burks, a chemist in Texas, points to elements like iridium, that exhibit these properties. Now, imagine dragons evolving to produce such pyrophoric chemicals within their bodies. What if dragons, through a similar twist of evolution, developed the capability to store and release pyrophoric chemicals, creating their iconic fire breath? In the animal kingdom, the bombardier beetle gives us a glimpse into how a fire-breathing mechanism might work. This beetle shoots out a hot, noxious chemical spray to deter predators, a mechanism somewhat reminiscent of fire breathing. Dragons, these legendary creatures of lore, are often depicted with majestic wings soaring through the clouds. But how could these majestic creatures, often depicted as massive and powerful, achieve the miracle of flight? Let's dissect this fascinating question by examining the physical and anatomical aspects of dragons' ability to fly. For dragons to fly, their anatomy would need to be a marvel of evolutionary engineering. Firstly, their wings. To support their massive bodies, dragons would require wings of an extraordinary size, far surpassing those of any bird or known flying creature. Drawing parallels from nature, we look to the largest flying creatures in our world's history, the mighty pterosaurs. With wingspans that could reach over 10 meters, these prehistoric reptiles give us a glimpse into the requirements for large-scale flight. Dragons, as imagined, would need even larger wings, coupled with incredibly strong muscles to generate the necessary lift. Biomechanics experts hypothesize that dragons would need robust pectoral muscles attached to a strong keel-like breastbone, much like birds. However, given their size, the muscle power and energy required for dragons to achieve and sustain flight would be immense. Let's consider the physics of flight. For dragons to take off, they would need to generate an incredible amount of thrust. This could be possible through a combination of strong leg muscles for the initial launch and powerful wing flaps to gain altitude. Once airborne, dragons might use thermal currents to glide, conserving energy. Their large wings could allow them to catch and ride air currents, similar to how eagles and vultures soar. This form of flight would be energy efficient, enabling these mythical creatures to travel vast distances. Those flying, fire-breathing beasts, with their awe-inspiring presence and mythical power, have captivated the human imagination for centuries. From ancient myths etched in cave walls to modern blockbuster films, dragons have been a constant symbol of power, mystery, and wonder. Their cultural and mythological significance spans across civilizations, each interpreting and reimagining dragons in their unique way. Why do dragons continue to enthrall us? Perhaps it's their representation of the ultimate challenge, embodying our deepest fears and greatest aspirations. Or maybe it's their symbolic role as guardians of treasures, wisdom, and secrets that resonates with our quest for knowledge and adventure. Dragons transcend the boundaries of mere folklore. They serve as a bridge between the known and the unknown, the real and the imagined. Their legacy is not just in the tales we tell, but in the way they inspire us to explore the limits of our creativity and understanding. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into the enchanting world of myths and legends. Join the conversation. If dragons were real, how do you imagine they would interact with today's world? Share your thoughts in the comments below.